Ever been to a party that got out of hand? Let me tell you about one. It was the kind of party that stays etched in memory, not necessarily for the best reasons. A wild celebration with a motley crew of fresh graduates. Amber, Jessica, Melissa, Dave, Conrad, Keith, and this new guy everyone just called New Dave. New Dave was an enigma, a character straight out of a strange novel. With his dreadlocks and eccentric demeanor, he was quite the spectacle. He had this uncanny knack for performing the most unusual of party tricks. From launching himself down a flight of stairs on purpose to pulling out his own pubic hair, New Dave was a one-man show, much to the bewilderment and amusement of everyone. But the girls, Amber, Jessica, and Melissa, they were intrigued. Not quite impressed, but definitely intrigued. New Dave, in his element, decided to up the ante. He plucked a light bulb straight from the ceiling, shattered it, and then, to everyone's astonishment, began to chew on the shards of glass. The room fell into an uneasy silence as he demonstrated to Keith, who was both horrified and fascinated, the art of eating glass. It was a spectacle that left everyone wide-eyed and made the drinks flow even more freely. New Dave certainly knew how to keep the spotlight on him, but the night was still young and his bag of tricks was far from empty. As the evening wore on, New Dave continued to entertain, each trick more outrageous than the last. From streaking across the snow-clad yard to making impromptu snow angels in the buff, he was unstoppable. With every daring feat, the crowd grew more intoxicated, cheering him on, their inhibitions melting away with every passing hour. And just when you thought it couldn't get any wilder, New Dave issued a challenge to the girls, a game of beer pong with stakes that were as unconventional as the man himself. But that's a story for another time. For now, let's just say that New Dave was a man of many talents, a human spectacle who knew just how to turn an ordinary party into an unforgettable one. The party took a wild turn when New Dave proposed a high-stakes game of beer pong. The atmosphere was electric as the girls, Amber, Jessica, and Melissa accepted the challenge. The stakes? New Dave promised to sear a rainbow into his arm with a hot stovetop if he lost. But if he won, the girls had to go shirtless for 10 minutes. The crowd roared, Dave, Conrad, and Keith all rooting for New Dave. He was known for his bizarre party tricks, so surely beer pong was one of them. The game kicked off, the ping pong ball bouncing back and forth between cups. New Dave was a spectacle, his dreadlocks swinging with each throw, his strange sayings causing laughter. But to everyone's surprise, the girls had the upper hand. With each successful shot, New Dave's confidence waned and the girls' excitement grew. Then came the shocking climax. The girls won. The room fell silent as New Dave, true to his word, cranked up the stove to maximum heat. Despite pleas from everyone, he pressed his arm against the red-hot stovetop, searing a rainbow into his flesh. The smell of burning skin filled the room, a grotesque testament to New Dave's commitment to the game. The sight was both horrifying and fascinating, a spectacle that would be etched into everyone's memory. But the night was far from over and the party was about to take a turn no one could have predicted. As the night wore on, the partygoers began to pass out, each more drunk than the last. Keith, the last man standing, found himself in quite the predicament. With every comfortable spot occupied by a snoozing friend, he was left with no other option but to make himself a makeshift bed on the countertop. He pushed aside the dishes, the remnants of the night's festivities, and nestled himself into the sink, his tired body welcoming the cold, hard surface. The night had other plans for Keith. As he drifted off into a drunken slumber, a mishap occurred. His unconscious body, relaxed and unguarded, betrayed him in the most embarrassing way possible. He awoke at 4 a.m, horrified to realize he had soiled his pants. In a state of panic, Keith made a hasty escape. He snuck upstairs, navigated through the dark, and managed to clean himself up in the shower. The path to freedom, however, was fraught with more embarrassment. As he ran home, he discarded his soiled boxers, throwing them into a random bush, hoping to rid himself of all tangible evidence. Little did he know, the trail of his mishap was smeared across every light switch he had touched on his way upstairs. In the light of the next day, his friends pieced together the evidence, and Keith was confronted with the truth of his humiliating escape. And that, my friends, is a party none of them will ever forget.